G'day everybody and welcome to another episode of Automotive Carnage. My name's DJ and today we are going to be working on this wonderful Dodge 106C. Now if it's been a couple of weeks since I've uploaded a video, that's because today, to this video, we are going to get everything put on this car that I have sitting in my shed. So all the brand new parts will be on this car and possibly any more that I have to order. Will be on this thing, so it's on its wheels again and it's rolling. It's got all its brand new parts and we don't have to worry about it anymore. Now the only thing stopping us from doing that is if small little complications arise, but hey, it's a car. It was abandoned in the bush for 20 years and stripped for parts and shot up and left out in the open. What could go wrong? So to begin with, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the opportunity now while everything is out of the engine bay. We're going to give it a clean and a scrub and see how bad it actually is, and hopefully not, I should say, find any damage underneath the dirt that it might be concealing. Now I have already noticed down here, I think I pointed this out in an earlier video, that there is a bit of a crack here that's been home welded up, not very well. In fact, it's one of the washers for the camber bolts. Now those are parts that are coming. I didn't realize that those were adjustable camber bolts there. So we've got brand new ones of those coming. We're probably gonna have to swap out this upper control arm because there's some more hack job welding going on here as well. Yeah, so because of that, and because too, when I pop this here, the shock out, this was kind of raised up a little bit. So I've bashed it down flat with a hammer the way it should be. But yeah, it's just kind of making me think that this car's been hit somewhere on this side. I don't think panel wise, I think more something's hit the wheel and the suspension components and kind of pushed it out of alignment to where it all needs to be. And of course, obviously there's this dent here. So something has been hit. Yeah, I'm really concerned that we might find some more damage. So I want to clean this out, see what it looks like, and then we'll just go about starting to bolt in our subframe. Now, as you remember last episode, may remember anyway, is that I wanted to use a VF Pacer subframe so that we could run the factory sway bar on it, but when I went from the VC chassis to the VE chassis, they increased the width of the subframe by 1 inch, meaning that our bolt holes do not line up. So we had to sand this one back, give it a lick of paint, and that will be going back into the Dodge. So nothing too bad there. We probably won't be able to use the front sway bar I wanted to, because that will also be 1 inch wider. So you might have to ditch that idea, unfortunately, but we'll still put in the lower control arms that hold the sway bar links in case we do find a suitable sway bar. Yes, enough jibber jabber, let's get cleaning. Well, now that was quite a bit more of a transformation than I first expected, and once I got cleaning over here and saw how white this engine bay actually is, I kind of kept going. So just used water and good old black and gold steel wheel pads with a little bit of soap on them, and it's just scrubbed all that rust and debris for the last almost 30 years sitting out in the open, and it's just taking it right back to the paint, and it actually looks really good. Now remember, we're not trying to make a dirty car, we're trying to make a bush car tell its story. So you can see over here, I'm going to try and leave this battery tray in. Hopefully inspectors will allow it. I highly doubt it, but you can only try. And then that's because they've welded this in, that's why we've got all this blooming splatter over here from where they've obviously used a very primitive or old stick welder or arc welder or some sort, just created sparks everywhere. So it's kind of cool little textures that just help tell the story of the vehicle, and that's what we want to try to do, is bring out the story of it. So anyway, we're going to get into actually putting some new parts on, except we, as I said before, we've got some pretty janky stuff going on here, but hopefully I can show you. There it is. Under here, this is where the subframe bolts into. Can you see the crack there? There's a massive crack right in the chassis. Let me get into the engine bay and show you. So this is on the inside here, these two lines here, those are actually cracks. And this just kind of confirms the fact of somewhere the suspension's been knocked back inwards some way that it wasn't meant to be knocked, and it's caused some pretty bad stress fractures in there. So we're gonna have to, it's small enough that we're able to weld it up, but it's a real bugger finding that. So as it goes, when you start doing a project car, whether it be an unfinished project that you've got of someone, like my S13 Sylvia, or something you found out in the bush, there's going to be complications that just make the job that bit harder and take that much longer. So we're going to weld that up, and then we'll go about pulling some parts in. I know I keep saying that, but when you get things like that happen, it kind of stops you from pulling parts in. So hey, here we go. Now hold up just a minute. Isn't hindsight just amazing? I'm coming to you now a few weeks after that was just filmed, and it turns out a few of the parts I was going to use were a lot more damaged than anticipated. So we had to go down to the VC ute and take a few parts off it, and I figured if we're going to take a few parts, let's just completely and utterly strip that car of everything that we need so that we can get rid of the body and just have the bits that we need. So let's go do that now, and it's quite a fun time. Check it out. All right, now we're down in the yard and we're going to start pulling the parts that we need off this VC. Now, again, to make this job a whole lot easier, Byron from Down the Show with Byron is here. Go check out his YouTube channel. Has an awesome build series called the D-Build Rebuild. You're rebuilding a GQ Patrol, and getting all the kids involved. And it's beautifully wholesome. It's not toxic. It's great. Go watch it. Absolutely worth it. So he's going to give us a hand to strip this down. Now, there's a bit of a lineup of cars here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. There's a couple over there I can't show you just yet, but you'll see those in a future episode of Automotive Carnage. So it's time to tidy up the yard a little bit. So we're going to start with this so we can get parts to make that Dodge into the rolling chassis that we need. What we need from this car is the steering box. Now, when we get back to the Dodge, I'll show you why we need the steering box predominantly, but I figure if we've got to pull the engine out to do that, let's strip everything out of this car, chop it up. We've got a couple of saber saws, some grinders. We're just going to go to town on this thing and just get rid of it. So first step, pull it out of here, get onto a concrete pad where we can do some work to it. We're going to test the strength of this homemade bull bar here. Put the kids in there, drive it.
Oh, good.
Out. Get off the ground, off you go. Almost jumping. Oh, this is going to be good fun. Let's get into it. Alright fellas, so I thought I'd give you a bit of an update as to where we're at with stripping this car. As you saw, we decided to start at the rear end so that we could get some pallets under there to hold this thing up nice and secure while we drop the front engine, gearbox and everything out of there. So you know what we have done, as you saw, pulled the rear diff out, pulled the fuel tank out. The fuel tank looks really good, but we'll have to give it a bit of a clean up. We've pulled our tailgate off, which we'll use as a spare. Here it is here. So it's got the internal panel in there, which the other one we got from the bush didn't have that. So that's really cool. Now, the other thing that I'm really chuffed about is old young Ryder here, who's a master glazier, has pulled our windscreen out. Done that by yourself? Yep. Mint, awesome. And he even had a crack at getting the rear one out. So no glass in there, which is fantastic. So the whole glass, as you know, is why we got this vehicle, and so to get that out all in one piece is absolutely beautiful. So thank you very much for your help there, mate. Command a few words. Okay. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to have stop for lunch, but then we're going to take the engine and gearbox out in one assembly. So with these, you're able to drop the entire K-frame. So we'll disassemble the front hubs and suspension on both sides, take out the cross member, put a bit of something under the engine, and then we'll either pull the engine down or lift the car up off it. But either way, we have a forklift here, which is very, very helpful. Get the radio out of the way so we don't damage that, because we really do need that. Yeah, so we've got some food and we'll get into pulling that engine out. So there we go, that is pretty well stripped for as much as we want today. Got the engine and transmission gearbox out, which is great, got it all off in one unit. It's still attached to the K-frame. Car is sitting precariously on pallets and a stack of tyres, but we'll move that tomorrow. She's getting a bit late in the evening now. Kids they just did the doors themselves. We told them to take the doors off and they just did it. It was absolutely fantastic. Great getting the kids involved. So oh, check this out. This is why you bring friends. Cheers, man. Oh, that's good. Beautiful burgundy color that this car originally was. The floors are dirty. We might be able to use some of them, but they pretty well had it. And unfortunately, this back wall is all rusted out as well, so that's no use to us. But we'll probably end up using this panel here. We'll cut that out and use it to patch down the bottom of our Dodge. We couldn't quite get that out, unfortunately ended up damaging it, so it can stay there for now. Showed you the rear. Yeah, that's it. Right, back to the shed and we'll start putting that steering box. Where's my steering box? That ended up over here on this pallet. That there, we need to tidy that up and stick that into the Dodge, and then we can carry on putting the K-frame and everything in. Just want to say a huge thank you to Byron. Thanks for coming out. He spent the last, 3 days out here in the bush with us. Came up for a beer and I ended up forcing him to work on like 5 different cars so far. So, no, thank you very much. It's much appreciated. And there we go. Besides cutting out a few rust cuts out of that body, we have taken everything that we need from it, so it is no longer required. Off to the local rubbish dump it goes, and hopefully someone else can use what's left of it for probably just sheet metal purposes. And even then, the sheet metal on that thing is not very good at all. I was hoping to take some rust cuts out of the floor, both in the cab and in the tray, but everywhere I needed was already rusted out anyway, so that was a real shame. But anyway, enough of rusty parts. Check out what I've been doing for the last week and a half, possibly 2 weeks. Oh my gosh. All right. So this is everything now ready, rebuilt, refurbished, repainted to go into the Dodge 106C. So first thing you'll notice is our massive K-frame. As we found out last episode, we can't use the VF K-frame like I wanted to because it was an inch wider in the middle, and so all the mounting points were in the wrong place, which is very unfortunate because now we can't run the factory sway bar setup that the Pacers come with. So we're back to using the original Dodge K-frame that came in it. Just sanded back all the surface rust and spray painted that black. That looks really, really good. Now on either side we have exactly the same setup, so we'll focus on that one, which is a bit closer to you guys. And what we have is upper control arms, new Peters bushings in there, new ball joints on there. We have spanking brand new camber bolts from Plum Crazy Garage. We have spruced up lower control arms. Now they are from a VF Pacer, so they have the mounting point for a sway bar. If we decide to set up an aftermarket setup, we have a mounting point there for it. They were pretty good to go. Original torsion bars, they came up really good with a scrub and a clean, took all the old dry grease out. They are good to go. Brand new Peters shocks to go on the front end and the rear end as well. We've got brand new shocks for there as well. So thank you very much to Peters Kennington for hooking us up with all of the bushes, the ball joints, the steering arms, everything suspension and steering related that's brand new came from those guys. And then we have the hub itself. Now, starting at the back, we took our disc brake stub axles, stripped them right back, cleaned them up, gave them a wide wheel, resprayed them. We've got brand new lower ball joints on there for the steering. We have brand new discs, solid discs. Yep, they're solid discs. Still the original hubs, but again, just stripped back, cleaned up. Brand new wheel studs, brand new wheel nuts, brand new bearings inside. The blimmin' dust caps, they came off the VF Pacer that we have. And one of these stub axles actually and hub, that one there, that's right, the driver's side, that came off the Pacer as well, the entire setup there. Anything else I'm missing? Oh, we've got brand new bushes, bushes, I guess you'd call them, are they? I don't know. Torsion bar boots, heavy duty. Again, they came from Plummet Crazy Garage. So we've got brand new ones of those going to torsion bars, and also new retaining clips for the torsion bars. So over the last week, almost 2 weeks, it's been very busy at work. So I've just been going along, plodding along, repainting, refurbishing, cleaning, pulling new parts on, at like half-hour lots, an hour lots during lunch breaks, and after work. Nothing really interesting to film because all I'm doing is getting a wire brush, cleaning it up, and then spray painting it. So, but it's done. I'm very, very excited because today, now we can finally slap it into the car. It's very, very exciting. Yeah, let's do the front end and then I'll talk to you guys about the rear end. Let's get it in. This is awesome. Sorry, one more thing before we get started. I just remembered I also cleaned up inside these wheel wells. So as you can see, they're now black and looking a lot nicer. So good old Super Cheap Auto chassis black under there, which is great. We've cleaned up our, well, re-welded, I should say. So what we have to do, we have to sand back the brazing, cut a groove in there, weld it up. It's not perfect, but it's a lot stronger than what it was. And then do the same as well for that subframe mount. As you can see, no more ugly crack there, all looking smooth and pretty. Hey, it's not perfect. This isn't a perfect car, and I'm not a perfect welder. So it will be strong and it will hold. That's the main thing. Now, something I found very, very interesting, just quickly, hopefully, oh, it's too dark, you won't be able to see. Oh no, you can see them. See those there? That one and that one. When they've had the shunt in the front end of this car, those are bolts that they've put on an angle to brace the upper control arm supports, and then they've brazed them into their position. Can you get any more outback than that? Okay, no more delays. Let's get these new parts in. There we are, folks. It is done. Finally, we've got all the suspension back in the Dodge and it is ready to go. Now for you, this has been one video, but for me, it's been quite a few weeks, and that's why you've had to wait so long for this video to come out, because it's just been tedious trying to get time to work on the car. But now everything is finally in. New shocks, new bushes, new ball joints, new everything, new brakes. We even, what I didn't mention before is we have some polyurethane bushes in the radius arms there on both sides, all looking flash in there for this new paint job. Oh, we just need to push the torsion bar boots into position. Under here, same story, looking beautiful, looking clean. Now, a couple of things I need to tell you that haven't been done. Obviously, I haven't done up all the nuts and bolts because you don't want to do that till it's sitting on the ground. And we'll set the ride height in the torsion bars, but mainly at the back here. Now, I have all the bushes for the leaf springs, but the leaf springs will probably going to be replaced. They are pretty shot, pretty worn out. And if we look up in here, there's just a whole bunch of dodgy I don't want to get into right now. Like look, the center line is even off there. So there's been a lot of wear in there, so we won't know till we take it off if we can actually use these leaf springs or not. But otherwise, we have the shocks in. As you know, we rebought the diff a while ago, brake cables. It is looking Absolutely spectacular. What's it look like from the back? Best gonna get under here. Oh yeah, that looks nice. White diff cover, red shock absorbers. Looking absolutely awesome. Was there anything else I had to say? Oh yes, now, the other thing you may have noticed is a distinct lack of steering components. Yep, steering box isn't there yet, steering arms aren't in there, and that is purely because I'm having a lot of trouble getting the pitman arm off the steering box and getting, I'll show you actually, these things in here, part of the actual steering arms and the way they're set up. Yeah, getting the old ball joints out of the arm. I need some heat, like an oxy torch or something, which I do not have. I don't have anything to produce enough heat to really break the rust off of those, but they are there, they will go on, but I'm not going to bore you guys with that really. I just want to get some wheels on this and get it out of the shed because we have other jobs we need to get done. Looking absolutely awesome. Let's get some wheels on it. Well, there we go. How good does the Dodge look sitting on its own wheels for the first time in about a month and a half, I think it is. Anyway, what is next for the Dodge? Well, obviously I still need to put all those brand new steering components in, but I can't do that till I take the old ones down to my mate who's got a full engineered workshop and get him to crack the rust and get all the seized tie rod ends out of the arms so that we're able to put the new ones back in. So that's going to take some time, but we'll do that. That's next. Then it's move the Dodge out and it's going to sit. It's going to sit in the holding yard for until we feel like getting back to it. We need to source an engine for it, a gearbox, which we do have a few to choose from around town, but they're all unknown condition. They've all been sitting out in the bush for a long time, like the engine and transmission that came out of the VC that we just pulled out. It doesn't turn over, so we're going to have to strip that down, clean it, hopefully the balls are okay, all that kind of stuff. So we have to find a suitable engine to go in this thing. I would like to keep it slant 6 for ease of registration. I still want to get this thing back on the road and driving, but I mean, when you've got to rebuild an engine anyway, why not rebuild a better engine? We'll see how that goes. What else does it need to do? Well, we need to load up all the parts that's sitting in front of it into the back. It's really cool. I like the shape of it. It sits nice, and check this out. Oh, so cool, so cool. It's just solid. It's just solid. The suspension components are great. You have to work out the ride height, but you can't work out the ride height until you've got the engine and all its weight in there. Got to do up all the nuts and bolts as well. Well, now it's sitting. But yeah, the Dodge is done for now. So with that being said, I need to say a huge thank you to a few people. Byron and Riley, thank you for coming all the way out here. 1,000 kilometer trip for them, 2,000 kilometer round trip for them to come help pull that VC apart. They did a few other jobs while they were here. If anyone was interested in the Holden, the HR Holden that I've got, the station wagon, we did get that running. Go jump onto Down the Shed with Byron YouTube. I'll put a link in the description, and he's got the video of getting us getting that car running. Really, really cool. So yeah, thanks for coming out, stripping the VC. Who else do you thank? My children, thank you so much for helping with little bits and pieces here and there. Dad, thanks for your advice and your help getting this vehicle sorted. And of course, my wife, she allows me to put rusty old pieces of crap in the backyard and work on them. So that's cool. Anyway, guys, that's all for this episode of Automotive Carnage. We have the Dodge back in a rolling state. May not be steering, but at least it's rolling. That's all I said. That's all I promised. And next week, we will be moving on to something else. Let's go bushwreck hunting. I reckon we go bushwreck hunting and go find some new wrecks. So we'll see you then on another episode of Automotive Carnage. See you later.